Welcome to the show. I'm Elizabeth Cooper, and I'm with
Ken Dodge. How are you guys doing? Hello, Elizabeth. You look fantastic tonight, as usual.
Thank you so much. And this is Ken and Liz in the biz. We're going to chit chat a little bit about the biz. But before we get started with the biz, I already have the ticker preloaded. I apologize. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, so we are starting just a touch late. But you know what? I know all of you are getting cozy in bed and you're getting under those comforters because most of the US is still really, really cold. Although I have so many great fans of the show, Ken, they love you in Australia. They love you in England. We've had New Zealand people chiming in. So please chime in throughout the show. Ask your questions. I'm going to be looking off to the side no matter if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook. We see all your comments and we love them. Please comment, share, and like the show. First off, we have our sponsor, Vitamint. Did you try your Vitamint tonight, Ken?
I tried my vitamins. They are awesome. I got the cinnamon. Wow, are they cinnamon? They are so good. Yes.
Awesome. And it is a power-packed little mint. Nothing to drink, but you're going to get 40 milligrams of caffeine in one little mint. And man, the cinnamon has a kick. I had one. It is really good, but I mean, it's cinnamon. So if you're one of those people where you're like, you know what, I'm tired of the mints and all the mint gum, I really want that kick, that's what the cinnamon has. But they have 5 great flavors. They have chocolate mint, spearmint, peppermint, wintergreen, and cinnamon. You can find them on Amazon or Walmart. Walmart's now carrying the vitamins. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. I was in Walmart looking for variables, and I'm in the checkout line, and there's the vitamins. Awesome. I didn't get any other flavors because I still have 4 or 5 left tins that were sent to the show. I love them, and they'll taste that. They take that nasty taste out of your mouth, and for hours and hours, you just feel great. It's awesome.
You sure do. You know what? And it's a cool little company. It was founded by 2 guys in Memphis, Tennessee. Vitamins are made in Canada, the candy making capital of the world. I think they make all candy out there is up there. And so go check it out on goviter.com. That's goviter.com. Walmart or Amazon, wherever you buy all your little goodies, you'll find them there. So let's get into the show, Ken. What are we talking about tonight?
We're going to talk about character development and becoming a character. Be that a character from a script. Different producers or directors want you to be want a character a specific way, and then some of them like the actor to bring their version of that character to the screen. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about. And I know you've done it 100 times. I've done it 100 times, and it's a really fun thing to do.
It is a whole lot of fun. You know, I think you and I are going to have 2 very different perspectives. So for all the actors and the actresses out there, all the thespians of the world, you're really going to find this show very entertaining, because the world that I have been in was that every single role, you must build that character. So you're going to get so much out of your script, but you're not going to get the full backstory. And so I was taught some really interesting things by my friend and coach out. He's Australian, but I met him in Los Angeles, Andy McPhee, and he taught me some valuable things. But how do you take your scripts, and of course, you know, what is the biggest part of our job, Ken? Auditioning, right?
That's job one.
Yeah, that's job one.
That's actually really not part of the job. Actually, you know what? That is the job.
That is the job.
Auditioning is the job, and the payoff is the ability to perform on screen or on stage. Yeah. So again, it's kind of a law. Acting is a job, but the auditioning is what you have to do to get the job. Now, what I was talking about, now when you talk about thespians, a lot of people, young people, have no idea what that word is. A thespian is simply a person that is in the acting community. They could be an actor in television, as an actor in commercials, movies, or plays, such as playhouse, your area playhouses, cities, counties, whatever. If you're doing a play, this is where you have to you figure out whether you can put yourself into the role, or you have to go by what is expected, such as Grease. Let's go with the movie Grease. First, that was in Broadway, as well as The Wizard of Oz and several other plays and movies that have been out for 100 years. First, they were in theater. I played Kenickie in Grease. Now, in Grease, the theater production of it, it's a little different. But I can't go in there and say, oh, I am Kenickie and I am the leader of the T-Birds. You got to kind of stick with the script. You got to stick with what the T-Birds are. You can't put another character in there. You have to, that's where researching the character comes in, watching the movie, and then trying to bring that along with yourself onto the stage. However, the movie The Identical, I don't know how many people out there have seen it, but it was an amazing movie that I got to be a part of, with Ray Liotta, Ashley Judd, Joe Pantoliano, some amazing actors. I got the chance to be the drill sergeant in that movie. The director said to me, here's the lines, but Ken, we got to change it a little bit. I want you to bring this character to life. I want you to start way over there. And what it normally started out as being like 2 lines ended up being like 16 or 18 lines. But that is the difference between developing a character or playing the character written. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And you agree, correct?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Right.
Everything that I was given from the day after I worked with Andy McPhee forward changed. So I knew enough to know that this character has to have relationships. I think that's one of the things that you learn once you work with a really great coach, is that they'll teach you about relationships and how does this all flow. We had touched on theater in our last program, and I love to look at it now with the toolbox that I carry with me, which has some theater experience, and it has film and television and commercial, all of it, comedy writing, creating my own comedy characters. That's a totally different animal. But
absolutely,
when you have successfully had a little time on that theater stage, you have to know all the relationships. You have to know what everybody's saying to everybody. I don't like to call it lines, although it is lines.
It's all timing in theater. It's all timing, because it's all lives. Not like you get, cut, go back to one. It doesn't happen like that in theater. It's all timing, and you have to know. You actually have to know everybody else's lines better than your own, because if not, then you're not going to know how to react to what the certain person said. You have 10 people talking, and you have to listen to it as it's a conversation and react as if it's real life. You can't just say the words like this: I am not here to be your friend. I am here because I have a job to do. And of course that's exaggerated, but you have to interact with everybody on the stage at one time, so you have to know everything they're saying, and then your lines as well, because it has to come off as natural, just like it does on the screen. But if you're doing television or movies, they've got that, okay, cut, we didn't like that angle, we didn't like the way you said that. You don't get that in theater. That's why I love theater that much more, because you get that immediate response from the audience. And if you screw up, you have to pick yourself up. You have to fight through it and get that line back out there. That happened to me on The Wizard of Oz when I was playing Scarecrow. If I only had a brain, my thing was, okay, obviously I don't have a brain because I just tripped right smack dab over my line. I'm not going to go into what happened, but you get to play with your character a little bit more, but you have to keep in character. You have to deliver the lines as if it's a conversation like I'm having with you.
Exactly. And I think that's beautifully said. That's where I was trying to get with it. And you close that that idea. You brought that idea together for me, because that's completely the fact, is that if you were to go out to dinner with a friend or a loved one and you sit down at that restaurant table, everything you hear, all the conversations, your waiter coming in and out, when you're handed your menus, that's film, television, and theater. You're living in it. So we have to emulate that out. The timing has to be correct. The relationships have to be right. The conversation has to be right, because you don't walk into a dinner party and go, "Hello, I am Elizabeth. How are you today?" You don't do that.
Do you ever go into restaurants or go into general public and think, okay, if this was a movie set, that would be the guy, that would be principal extra. This would be, all these other people would be extras. And do you ever do that to you? Because I do it all the time. I do it. I did it in Walmart. I do it in tons of places. If I was on set, this is where the cameras would be, and I find myself falling into that fake world in the real world.
I do as well. And I think, that's a whole nother show, to talk about the behind the camera. I think that's a great perspective of the behind the camera, of being those eyeballs that see where everything starts, and it goes all the way down to where the fork is. And when you lift up that fork, but I think that's a whole nother show, right? That's another hour and a half.
A whole nother show is also continuity.
Totally. Yes.
Oh
but
my God.
So where to start? What I was taught of how to start was to take your script, you read every nugget that you are delivered, everything, even when you have pages in an audition and they'll have them crossed out. Well, there's a reason why all those words aren't completely blacked out. It's just crossed out, because a good actor will read everything they can. And then,
right, because that crossed out stuff was put in there for a reason, and it brings the scene together. Even though they're not doing those lines, it's still the familiarity of the scene. So it's there, but we're not going to say these words. This word's not going to be said. But that whole area is crossed out, is still part of the scene. And totally. It's very vital to have it.
It is. And I like to look at it as building blocks, right? Maybe Legos, maybe Lincoln Logs, whatever you have that you're building with. You first have a character, and let's talk about auditions, because that really is the largest part of this job, if you will. The icing on the cake is booking it, but auditioning is what you do as an actor. So you have that first piece, and that first piece is going to be, who are you? But you don't know who you are yet, because you haven't done your character building yet. So you know who you are, a name of who you're talking to, maybe a relationship, a little bit of who you're talking to, a brother, a sister, a mother, a customer, something like that. But I was taught to take every nugget of what we have and go back to birth. It's okay if you make up what is at birth, because what you're going to find as you form that life that you've been given, all the way up to the moment of what's on paper in front of you, it'll all of a sudden make sense. So
now you're talking backstory.
Backstory, and that I use as part of my character building. I take the backstory, bring it all the way forward, because you don't just appear out of thin air, right? What's your perspective on that?
Well, I came from a petri dish marked failure, but fortunately I survived. No, I agree with you 150%. But and everybody's backstory. No, everybody has a different backstory, just like everybody has a different fingerprint. Where did the backstory of the Scarecrow come from? It came from Uncle Herschel. I think his name was Uncle Herschel. But Dorothy doesn't realize it until the end of the show, as to how important each one of those people were. But if you're going into an audition, you've already met a certain criteria for a look. And if they've called you, they said, okay, we like his look. He's got or her look. They've got an interesting look. We think that they might be able to play this character. And when you go to that audition, okay, back when I was doing auditions, when we started doing auditions in our very beginning of our career, we would go someplace sit down in a room, and they would give you a little piece of paper, and that had everybody's lines on it. And as you said before, some of them would cross out, "This is your character." And the biggest mistake people make is just what you said. They'll look at just their lines, and they'll just memorize those lines, and they'll beat them in their head, and then they'll skip down to their next line, and they don't realize that there's words in between it, and the other actor is saying something, and you don't. That's your biggest mistake you can make. But the way you come across is kind of the same way I do. This person came from someplace. Did they come from Jersey? Did they come from Orlando? Did they come from Cuba? Did they come from Venezuela? You have to make up that line, and you have to decide, are they going to have an accent or what? But if they booked you to audition for them, you're already, that's the biggest step. You've got to get in there. When you get in there, that's when you look, like I said, from the top of the paper all the way down. And you go in there and you deliver it the best way you can. They don't do that too much anymore. A lot of it is done online, just like we're doing it right now. They send you this piece of paper by email. They send you an email and has it all. You have to print it out. And you have a little more time to research the character and develop the character. But back when we were first doing it, it was sitting in front of a table of 3 or 4 people, and then you had this person on the camera. You slated it. You told them your name. They took a picture of you, and then you're all nervous and you're sweating. Your hands are sweating. You're like, why am I afraid of these people? And that's one of the biggest fears anybody has is auditions. Whereas it wasn't mine. I always loved to go to auditions. I hated the fact that I had to do them, but I loved to go and do them.
See, I love the challenge of them. I'm right there with you. I'm in the same wagon with you. I love the challenge of that because I've noticed that live auditions will do it one of 2 ways. Either your agent will send you the scene ahead of time so that you've had a moment to work all those relationships. You've had a moment to do the backstory. You've adopted your character and you walk in 110%. But what I love are the cold auditions. And that is where you go, you sign in, you slate, all that kind of stuff. You're SAG after, you give them your number, all this. And then they hand you your scene. And you work that on the spot. And what I found with working with really top rated, and you're going to hear me say this all throughout all of our shows, top rated working actor coaches, is that they will teach you how to memorize 3, 4, 5 pages in 10 minutes. It's going to be like that. And it's all about making those connections. Who are you? Where are you? What are you doing? What are your wants and objectives? So working your wants and objectives, I think it's very powerful because anytime you open your mouth, we have a want. We're trying to get something conveyed, or maybe we're trying to get some information out of someone. So how do you work your wants and objectives with your scenes? Uh-oh, we can't hear you. Oh, no. Hold on just a moment. We cannot hear Mr. Dodge for a moment. I hope. Can't hear. Oh, he's signing for us. Oh my goodness. All right, everybody. Well, I hope that you're having a good evening. Let me see. Ken, can you hear me? Okay. Is there anything on your end? Because I don't seem to have anything on my end that's saying that you don't have audio. Nothing? Okay, let's see what we can do here. There he is. Microphone. Mute. Unmute. Now try that. Okay. All right, guys. Hang with us for just a moment. Ken, I'm going to call you right back, okay? No, I can't hear you. Okay, I'll call you right back. All right. Oh my. So please go ahead and start commenting. What did you do today? What is the weather like in your neck of the woods? And make sure I can hear you now.
All
All
right.
right,
I don't know what happened.
And you're already
Uh,
shared into the show, so we can just pick it up from there. So I was asking about wants and objectives. So how do you work those? Do you work those in your scenes?
Absolutely. First thing I want is I want them to love me, and I want them I want them to see that I can feel that character and I can become that character, and I want them to believe that I can be that character, and that character is a real, live, breathing, thinking, caring. Even if see, now, I'm not, again, this is where we're going to differ because 99% of the time, this is what they're looking at: a 6'3" bald-haired guy with a goatee. Obviously, he's the guy that's going to eat your child, or you're going to eat your dog. You know, I'm always cast as the bad guy.
Yeah.
But even a bad guy has a soft side. So I try to let them know that yes, he's a human being. He's not always going to be a bad. He wasn't always a bad guy, but he's a human being, and I want them to believe what I'm saying to them is real life. I want them to think this is real life. He's giving it all he's got. He is showing this that he's professional, and he has become the character.
So how do you handle, and I'm just going to toss a question off to you, and then if
Okay.
I can, I'll answer my own question so we get both sides. But
Yes.
how do you handle your meditation of walking into that audition room? And, you know, when you tape yourself, you have a plethora of time, right? So you have all the time in the world before that camera starts rolling. And then even after that, you can cut and edit your video and stuff. So I find it 10 times easier on, you know, recorded auditions and live. But when you're walking into that live audition room, of course you're going to have, and especially in the first couple of times, nerves, doubt. Like you had said, you want them to love you. So
Right.
how do you harness all of that so that you can be who you came into the room to be?
Well, you got to realize that the people sitting behind the desk, they need you. They need, it's not just you, they need a character. Okay. I'm going to go in there. Yes, I'm going to be terrified simply because I don't like rejection. I don't think anybody likes rejection. But I go in there knowing that I'm going to give the best audition that I can. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to give 110%. They need somebody to fill this role, and they thought enough about me to ask me to come. So they're, again, like I said, they're human beings. And there's really no reason to be terrified, and I don't know why. Even Al Pacino says he's still terrified every time. Even Ray Liotta, working with him, he actually said that he was terrified to do auditions still to this day. And I don't know why, because we're all just human. But something about these people having your life in their hands and have the power of saying, you know what, thank you very much, we'll call you. And we all know what that means.
Yeah.
But I guess confidence, the biggest thing you've got to have is confidence and belief in yourself. You've got to believe in yourself. You're going to get no's, and you will learn so much more from your failures than you ever will from your accomplishments.
Absolutely. There's so many times when I have left the audition and thought, oh, I coulda, woulda, shoulda, right?
Mhm.
You know, the coulda, woulda, shouldas are terrible. And I try to get those out of my head because every single time where I was driving home and I'm like, oh, I could have said that, I got it when I thought, oh, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
You know, and then the times where you think, oh, I got it, you don't get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it never happens like
on your
that.
point of rejection, I came to being through meditation of saying to myself, I was not born for this character. I was not born in the eyes of the writer for this character. And we have a friend of ours, Jim Valente.
Cool. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim. He is watching, and he says something to this point. He says, when I write, I see the scene in my head. And I believe that also as a writer of my own work, you see those characters. And I think, you know, when you see somebody walk in and they do exactly what you said, they really just want you to pick up the hammer. That's all they want. Just pick up the hammer. That's all we're asking you to do. You know, not all this extra stuff, not all this
Right.
nerves and unpreparedness. Just come in, be prepared, and just do it. Just throw away those lines. And I think that was another best bit of little bits of nuggets that I picked up along the way, was throw those lines away. And that was through a great experience in Los Angeles. They have these workshops where you get to be in front of the top casting directors for everything, for all the shows, film, television. And Lisa Beach, who did all the casting for, I think she did Friends, and she did a bunch of them. She said that was, we got a little bit of teaching before we had a moment to go in and audition. And these are all mock auditions, but still you're being seen, right? So it's not a bad thing to do. And her teaching was on how to throw away those lines. And I found that to be so poignant, so perfect in what I was trying to do for all the other times before that, was to walk in, ditch the nerves, and realize that either I'm born for this role or I'm not. And that helped me to move on from the rejection of it. Instead of looking at it as rejection, I look at it as I'm not born for it. And that's okay, because there's all these other roles out there that I am born for.
You're born for a lot more roles than I was. Simply because I'm in a niche. But I will say this. I honestly think that there's a curve happening now, because and I'm saying this on a personal basis. Nowadays, you see more and more people that look like this that aren't really always the bad guy.
No.
So I'm hoping that somehow I'm going to fall into that category. Go, okay, you have that look, and they're going to think you're a bad guy, but we want you to be this and fall into this character, and you're going to end up being the hero or the love interest, or you're going to be the comedic, or you're going to end up being the hero that gets killed, something like that. Which, I love any work at this point. I love to act, and I love to bring joy to the screen and bring life to the screen. And that all comes with, as you say, just like you said, believing in yourself, throwing away the lines, being the character, believing in yourself, and trusting that you're good enough, because you are. That affirmation, darn it, I'm good enough and people like me. You got to take that affirmation. You got to have it with you. And like your coaches said, I believe 100% in what they had. They didn't get there for nothing. They are professionals, and they know exactly what they're saying. That's why we need to listen to them.
Absolutely. Get in front of those people as much as you possibly can. So let's talk about character looks, character types, if you will, which I hear it day in, day out. And yes, there are certain people that that is just truly a character type. I'm sorry, if you look like Santa, it's going to be really hard to play the grandfather or to play the husband or all these other roles that you could play when you really truly straight up and down look like Santa. In my opinion, if I was a casting director and your headshot came across my desk and I saw both commercial as well as theatrical headshot of you, Ken, I would not necessarily just call you a character look, because I see pastor, I see brother, yes, all the bad guy roles, yes, of course. But biker with a twist, with a positive twist, killer biker, you get like so many of those. There are certain roles that I think anybody would look at me and say, no, she's not, the mousy, quiet preacher's daughter. No, I'm not gonna I'm not. No.
But you could play that role.
I could, and that was my point. You could play anything. So I think diversity on your skills is huge, of being able to open up and do things that you would never, ever do to experience those different characters. But I've heard from you many, many times where you have been character cast. How do you market yourself for that? And what is your goal there? Is that your goal?
No, I don't mind being typecast. That's okay because any work is great work. I'd like to be able to work myself out of it, and the way you do that is through well, photography is a big, huge way. Getting character photos taken of you, adding things into your arsenal, doing more demo reels. Write your own demo reels. Do some comedy. Use props. Show them that you can do it. That's what I'm trying to do. That's my next step. And hopefully COVID is going to start opening up everything. I mean, it's lightening up a lot now, and hopefully it's going to be gone before you know it. And thank God through SAG-AFTRA, they have in the office, you can actually go in and they've got staff people there that every day they will film reels for you. You can go in there and there's a basement room. It's got like 10 different studio scenes in there, and you can act out anything that you write to make yourself demo reels. I did not know that.
I did not know that until tonight.
I did not know that, but I learned that from the guy that used to be on JAG, the lead actor that was on JAG, who is now one of the people in Nashville at the Screen Actors Guild. He's one of the officers there, which was really cool. But Jeff, I was talking to him, and he's the one that was telling me, Ken, if you ever want to make new demo rolls, we've got a full basement down here. It's got 5 or 6 different sets, and we've got the cameras. We can set up a quick 30, 40-second video. We can do 10 of them a day if you want to. That's part of being with Screen Actors Guild. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And they've got readers and everything. And obviously, if they're Screen Actor or SAG, the readers, they're going to be able to be a little bit better than, Elmer Fudd you got over here next door. They go, you must come over, please, no problem. I said in English.
Yeah, exactly. And you're behind the camera going, no,
Oh
your line is just close the door, please. Like, that's it. That's
yeah, it ain't, come on in, close that door, sit down, make have yourself some grits.
Yeah, no.
Shut up, stop it, say the friggin' line. You're killing me. I get it, but I just found this out. So my repertoire of reels and things that I can send out through casting networks and Actors Access is going to get huge.
That's great.
Once everything calms down and I'm able to get down there, because I've got so much stuff written, and people are going to start realizing that, oh, cool. So he can do comedy. I make a great guy, a great alternative lifestyle type fellow as well. Just FYI. I just can't get by the taste. But anyway, I'm kidding. You see the look on your face. Anyway, I love to stretch my limits of acting. I want to know how much I can do, because there really is no limitation to anything either one of us can do. If you can imagine it, you can do it. I think that should be an actor's theme. If you can imagine it, you can do it. And that should be in everything, in life, in sports, in life. If you can imagine yourself doing it, you can.
Right. I agree with you. I totally do. I think, if you are able to dive in and just explore all those different wonderful facets and wonderful characters in life, you're going to be such a strong actor or actress. And so marketing a character role. So I do have a couple of different characters, and I'll tell you what I do to market my characters. And I'm
you
curious.
Have 100 characters.
I'm curious.
I see 90 of them.
I'm curious. I know you have a couple of characters too. So I'm curious as to what you do for marketing your character, because of course, it always starts with the backstory. It starts with some good content, and then the visual, you have to add the visuals. So mine, ironically, always start with an accent. And I have to hone in on that accent. And sometimes the content's written first, sometimes it's not. A lot of times it's not, because you'll find your content and your verbiage changes with a different accent. And then the very final thing is the looks. The looks always come together at the very, very end.
Sometimes they don't come together.
Yeah, sometimes they don't come together, and they're pretty wild. And I mean, I have ton. Like, I think it comes from, I was a teenager, I guess you would call it, but a young teenager, but not like, pubescent, like after that period. I was just like silent. I just went mute. My parents moved to North Carolina and I was pissed. So I just went quiet. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with people. I, can barely tolerate the people I came from, a teenage. And I started looking around, but I had moved from New Jersey to Western North Carolina.
Wow, culture shock.
Big culture shock. So I knew all the characters that I had grown up around. Well, they were not in North Carolina. There was a whole new set of characters. And I think that's where I soaked it all in, had no idea what I was doing or why I was soaking it in, but every little mannerism, you know how it is. The alternate lifestyle guy, he has a lot of mannerisms that are totally different from the killer biker guy. So I just performed them. I decided that of course, I was blessed with being with a live touring comedy group, and that really helped. I toyed with the idea of going to Groundlings, but I didn't have the $10,000 to do it.
Yeah.
And I still kind of wish that I had done it. However, I would have been in Los Angeles a lot longer, and I don't think that would have been best for my kids. So maybe one day in the future, I will go to Groundlings because I would love that. But anyway, I just start a camera and I thought, why not put myself on the spot and create my character, memorize my content, of course, be that content, be that character, and go live with it. But what do you do to market what you do, and what characters are you playing right now?
Well, we've already discussed about the killer biker. I actually developed a character by the name of Giant. Mm-hmm. He's a big vice president of a biker club. He actually made an appearance in a YouTube movie called Asphalt She-Wolves.
Okay.
And again, because I ride bikes, I look around and I take little pieces of each individual person that I know, and if I think he's a sweetheart of a guy, but he looks like he's going to eat your mom's watch, you grab that from this guy and this from this guy, and you put them all together, and again, like you said, you take two pieces and you mold them like clay. Okay, I've already got the look. I can put leather on all day long, just like you said. But again, bringing him from birth, you create the person inside yourself. You become that person. Again, another one. There was a character that I developed that was a performer that did The Streak by Ray Stevens. Now, my friend Kevin Wood, a tremendous bass player, great friend. I love him to death. He's from Newport, Massachusetts. He's from New Hampshire, and he lives down here now. We played in many bands together. We worked on. We actually built a mini golf course together with what we called the Addams family, because these people were throwing hammers at each other, and the husband comes up to the wife with a knife and just cut my friggin' tongue now. Go ahead. I don't need it. You tell me what to do. And we work with these people every day, and Kevin and I are looking at you like, even from things like that, I developed characters from things like that. Kevin and I were riding around one day, and I had this brown hat, and I had long hair. I didn't have any up here, but I had long hair. And we were riding around on our way home one day, and we were listening to somebody on the TV, and I started thinking of, for some reason, Red Skelton. I love Red Skelton, one of my favorite comedians in the world. Again, I don't look like Red Skelton, but we were in traffic on a 2-lane road, and there were people on this side of us, and then people zipping by this way. And we were in Old Hickory, Tennessee. Kevin, we had just had a hard day at work. We was tired. We was kind of lost. And this lady was sitting right next to us, literally right next to us. I could open the window down and touch her on the shoulder. Right out of the blue, I took the hat, turned it sideways, flipped it up, pulled my hair back forward so it was sticking out on the sides like this. My hat was flipped up. And I rolled down the window and I said, "How you doing?" And Kevin almost pissed himself laughing his ass off because he couldn't believe that I had done that. That lady rolled her window up and looked straight ahead, did not look at us. To this day, Kevin will think about that. and he'll start laughing. And it was just, at that moment, it needed to be done. It needed to be, a tension breaker had to be done. And only somebody with an actor's type mind, honest, or a little warped sense of humor, would do something like that. And I honed that character to become something else. And he became the guy that did the streak. Mm-hmm. And then I used to do musical comedy. I did Ahab the Arab. I did King Tut. I did a lot of Ray Stevens stuff, a lot of Weird Al Yankovic stuff. I became the character in the songs. Mm-hmm. Like Mississippi Squirrel Revival. Yeah, I became the guy telling the story, kind of like Ray Stevens did. But during the song, I became each one of the little characters that were in the church, screaming and yelling, and a squirrel crawls up on Uncle Jesse's pants, and some got a hold my, some's got a hold of my leg. But anyway, I found that if you are larger than life, people are drawn to you. And I'm 6'3", I weigh 209 pounds. And again, on screen, everybody thinks I'm going to kill everybody. But in real life, if you were to meet me, and you have, you know the other guy, this guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know the person that I really am. But again, a lot of people don't know that. My buddy Kevin knows that. And a lot of people that are closest to my heart know that. But these casting people don't. So you have to try very hard in developing all these different characters so you're more marketable than typecast. So what I do is I will develop my character and make them a real living, breathing human being. Absolutely. Put them on video, put them into my pocket, and pull them out, send demo reels whenever I can. That person may end up having their own TV show, just like Carrot Top. I went to school with Carrot Top. His name is Scott Thompson. Mm-hmm. He was in marching band with me. I remember as kids, I was not very rich. And his father and mother they did okay. They worked at the Space Center. But I had a whole bunch of busted toys, and so did he. And we used to put toys together and make different toys. He took it to the next level and became a prop master. Mm-hmm. And now he's at the Luxor. And it's hard to believe that somebody that you went to school with who was this big around, had orange hair. He wasn't redhead. This guy had carrot orange hair. Yeah. The drum section of the Cocoa High Marching Tiger Band. I know I'm going off on side here, but I want to get to a point. I'm going to make a point. The drum section. He was a tenor drum player when I was a tenor drum player. And there were like 10 of us in the drum section. We had a 300-member band. Oh wow. The name Carrot Top came from our drum section because we had orange shirts because we were the Tigers. Orange shirts, black ascots, and black hats and black pants. Okay, his hair matched the exact same color of our orange satin shirts, so that's how we got his name Carrot Top. And as his hair got a little longer, he would take and we put rubber bands on it and then pull the rubber bands straight out so the hair would stand straight out. And we drive through Wendy's. And people would think that the people in the drive-thru, that's Wendy. She's in the drive-thru. Just silly shit like that. Right. And he became a millionaire comedian. I mean, just like that. These are the people that I grew up, people like that I gravitate to, just like I gravitated to you. The first day on set, when we met, you thought I was a loudmouth. You thought I was full of myself. Then you got to know me. You're like, I get it. Okay, I get it. Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. You always want to be seen. Absolutely, always want to be seen. And I think that's an art within. That's probably another show to talk about. But that's an art within what we do as people that can flip from character to character to character. And of course, this is also going off on a tangent a little bit. This isn't exactly what we're talking about, but the energy is important. And I will say that with your character brings different loads of energy. And that's important to sit. And I think bringing all this together with starting with your backstory, creating your character, knowing who you are, getting your wants and objectives met, It comes from, in my world, a lot of closing your mouth and opening your eyes to see what's around you, because people are walking billboards for all the information that you need to gather to be able to ace that audition and get the job, and then to be stellar on camera during the job, because every single character has a different level of energy. Now, here's what's going to kick it up a notch, which is the point that I want to match with yours of what you just said. If you know how to turn it on and turn it off, that's a skill.
Do you think Robin Williams knew how to do that?
Absolutely.
That's what made him the dynamic actor that he was. Same with John Belushi and James Belushi.
Yes.
Yeah, they and Jim Carrey. We're talking about over the top type actors, but they also knew when to stop. You very rarely saw Robin Williams turn it off.
Very rarely.
But when you did, you didn't recognize that, so he wasn't the same person, which was masterful. I have a question to ask you.
Sure.
That one project, we're not going to get into the name of the project, but the project that you and I worked on the first time, you did a scene with another gentleman, and you later on told me, I wish we could have done that scene together. And I was beside myself, simply because of the quality of actress that you are, and the learned actress that you are. To have you say to me, I would have rather done that scene with you rather than him. Why would you say that?
Well, I think,
honestly,
and I'm not going to describe exactly the scene, but I will touch on the scene.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
No, but this kind of goes into the answer. So in this scene, there was some physical presence, there was some passion to it. When you are filming passion or anything that's intimate, sexual, passionate, it's very hard for most people to film that. There was another project that I was booked for where I was going back to a hotel room with a gentleman that I was on vacation with. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
When you walk on set, my first objective was eye contact. Where is he? Because I know who he is. So where is he? Once I make eye contact, it's, of course you're not going to be like, oh, let me kiss you, let me all over you. But that body language begins. And with the gentleman that I was working with, he didn't have a lot of training in what he was doing. So the body language wasn't there. And it was kind of like putting a tiny little mouse in the big bad cat's cage. And that's not what I was trying to get on film, because I could tell that's not what they wanted on film. It was supposed to be a mutual thing. And ultimately the scene was a married couple that were getting away without the kids. And so here they are, they're coming through the hotel door into their hotel room suite and finally away from the kids. And he pushes...
you can stop right there. You don't have to describe anymore. But the fact that you said, because we did favor each other a little bit, looks-wise, but the fact that you said, I would have rather done this, it was very flattering to me, because you saw me as kind of an equal, which is really, really, it's a huge compliment. And I wanted to tell you that that meant a lot to me when you said that, because we had done our scene together. We were just sitting at a table and such. And of course I was this totally different character that nobody in the scene knew that I was. But nevertheless, the fact that you said to me, you know how to play to the camera, you know how to do this, I would have much rather done the scene with you, because, I often, like I said, I wondered why she would say that, because, did he not play to the guy? Because in the short little piece that I saw, You were the focus in that scene. You were. I guess I want to assume that that's what the director was looking for, but maybe you were looking for it to be, and bringing the person again, the married couple from birth all the way up there. They're getting away from the kids, and he's excited, as much excited to get away as you are. So you wanted to see the acting, the same level of acting together, whereas he was, again, like you said, the mouse and you're the lioness.
Right. And I could tell that energy wasn't what they were trying to get at. And so for you, you're a seasoned actor. When you get out there and you're working, let's talk to the audience who's listening right now. When they get out there and they're working, you're going to be able to assess who you're with. You're going to know who is green and who is seasoned, who's really seasoned. Obviously, most of us will know who that is because you're going to recognize the name. So it's kind of like, duh. But those seasoned actors, you'll begin to build yourself to a certain point to where you begin to understand behind the camera. And behind the camera is just as important as in front of the camera. So, yes, our chemistry was there for this particular on-set day that you were talking about. Our chemistry was there to be able to pull it off, which is a huge plus. But if the camera was focused on me or if it was focused on you, neither of that, in my opinion, was too heavily weighted, because it all comes down to, where does he turn me? I know where my end point I know where my mark is for the end of the scene. I got to make sure that I'm there, because there's no point in that scene if there's going to be an embrace and the embrace is in the wrong direction away from the camera. They don't want two heads of hair. So, all of that makes it either really hard to pull that off, where you're not doing 75 takes, because that costs money and time, and no production wants that. So
yeah, that gets into set direction. Your directors making sure that your actors follow direction. Again, that scene, I saw the script of that scene, and I saw that the big X, but in that was the descriptive as to what happens when the door comes in, and it wasn't really scripted out very well, and that's probably why it hasn't become a great big huge movie, because it should have been, because you were in it. You were dynamic in it, but that happens. There's probably 10,000 movies that have been made since then that we will never see, because it just funding didn't happen, or they weren't good enough. Nobody bought them, but it happens every day. But the fact that you saw me as your equal, and you said, I wish we could have done that scene, because it felt, I guess you said, it felt light. It needed a little more weight to it. And the fact that you knew that your thespian equal was not being played, and that meant a lot to me. And people that are out there listening, remember, when you walk on set, you've got to have confidence. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to know your part. You've got to become that part, and you will know. Just like she said, you will be able to tell who the people are that are seasons and the people that are just terrified. And yes, you're going to have nerves. Yes, you're going to be terrified. But when you go on that set, know that you have been chosen to do this. You are to give everything you've got, because this is not a game. This is real life. This is your life. This is what you've been practicing for your whole life. I don't care if there are no small scenes. There are no small parts. I did one scene in the movie, The Identical. One scene. And that scene was, and I quote from Ray Liotta, the pivotal moment of the movie, when he was realized for his talent. And I was the one that did that. I had no idea about that when I was reading the whole script, because once I got done with my scene, I didn't read the rest of the script. Okay, my part's gone. I'm done. But I read every page before that. But after my scene cuts, I didn't even read the rest of the script. Didn't need to. I knew I wasn't in the movie anymore, so I stopped. Had I read it, I don't know if I would have done anything different, but I would have probably realized how pivotal that scene was, and I probably wouldn't have come out as good because I gave it 110%, knowing that this was my one chance. And they gave me creative control. And if you get creative control, that means the directors and the producers and all the people, they believe in you. They trust you. They know that you're an actor. They know that you know what you're doing.
Right.
So, like, yeah, that's why I say there are no small parts. And even though that this Sean guy had a very small part in that movie, and I had a very small part in that movie, but again, it never happened. It never came to fruition. It could have been a major film, but would it have been as good if, it would have been better if you had a different partner in this scene, or that it was recast, because there was no casting in that. But I just want to say casting is very important, and I appreciated the fact that you saw me as an equal, and you gave me a huge compliment by saying that. And I just wanted to point that out to you and tell you that I appreciate you, and I think you're an amazing actress and an amazing human being.
Well, thank you. And I likewise to you. And I'm glad that stuck with you and that made a memory, because, you know, you are the seasoned actor on set. I don't care what set you're on. So, yeah. And I would differ just a little bit in opinion. The way that I look back on all of my projects is that every single one of them, I came on set 110%. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, on the back lots or you know, you're Universal, you're Tyler Perry Studios, you're, you know, you're anywhere, Pinewood, you're anywhere, or you're in a smaller production, larger production. I did my job. At the end of the day, you put so much into this, blood, sweat, and tears, and research, and time, and effort. And then you hope and pray, you get down on your knees and you say a prayer to God that when you get on set, that everybody else can match what they need to be doing, not only in experience and talent, but in mannerisms, in intuition. And your intuition is going to drive your body language. So all these things are so particular, and they're very important all at the same time.
Which is why we do this show.
Right. But when they wrap, you did your job. Yeah. And you walk away from it. You did your job. You did the very best that you could. And that's all that anybody expects out of you. And I hope that we have helped. I hope that we've definitely driven the point forward that really great coaches, great working LA trained, New York trained actors, actresses will help you, and vet them. Make sure that they're actually currently working. They're working with people bigger than they are, because that's where you're going to get the real training. And I hope that we've helped some people out there. Ken, what would be your last final thought as far as character development and coming to where you need to be to be?
Believe in yourself. Research the character. If you're doing a character that has already been recognized and already is known, research that character. Make sure that you nail that character. Make sure you become that character. If the character is a new character, make sure that you, again, take, just like you said, from birth. Bring them a storyline. Bring them, even if nobody ever knows it, bring them to life in your mind and in your heart. Give 110%. Listen to your fellow actors. Listen to your coaches. Go online, find coaches, research them. Listen, this is why we do this show, because we have made our mistakes and we're going to make mistakes again. That's how we learn. That's how we become better. I'm not a great, big, huge star, and God willing, it might happen one day. But if it doesn't, I'm blessed to be able to bring my knowledge and my experience and my hopes and dreams to everyone that's out there watching. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And if again, you can message me on Facebook. You can contact me through Elizabeth Cooper. God bless you. I appreciate you. And tune in next month for our next, our next. I don't know what our next topic is going to be, but it's going to be next month, and it's going to be a big one, because we've got 100 200, 300 different subjects we could talk about.
We do. And without even blinking, I mean, here we are at an hour. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in and following the show. Come back next month. Like Ken said, we're going to get on to that conference call and we're going to talk about all the different things that we can talk about. We had a couple of ideas just from rewatching the show. We're going to have several ideas of things that we can chat about, because this animal of acting, the thespian world, is huge. And it has major crevasses, it has major highs. It's wonderful, but it's so large that I think this was a great idea, Ken, to just sort of piece it all together by taking small chunks off one at a time. And
you can eat a mountain one bite at a time. You can't eat a mountain all in one bite.
You really can't.
This is a big, big, big apple. This is a huge apple.
It really is. And I want to say again, thank you so much to our sponsor, Viter Mint of Viter Energy Corporation out of Memphis, Tennessee. That's right. They have wonderful flavors for you, packed full of 40 milligrams of caffeine. Let me pull up the little sample packets, which is new. And hold on, my mouth is working faster than my fingers here for a second. There we go. So these are nice little sample packets that you can get on Amazon. They do sell vitamins at Walmart, or go to goviter.com. That's goviter.com for any of the 5 flavors of cinnamon, spearmint, peppermint, wintergreen, chocolate mint. Is that all of them? That's all of them. That's all 5 fingers. I should have known that was all of them. 0 calories, 40 milligrams of caffeine, all your B vitamins and niacin. Check it out today. So, Ken, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next month. Bye, everybody.